Great. Okay, so, welcome to this session. My name is Agnes Mack. So, before I begin, I wanted to have every one of you, if you can actually just assign up sheets so that I can know who actually have joined, okay? And well, sorry for the hiccups, and let me just put this here. So welcome everyone. I'm glad that you're here, spending a little bit of your Sunday afternoon to learn about the University of Toronto MBA and what we have to offer. So my name is Agnes Mack. I'm the Assistant Director of Recruitment and Admissions for the East Asia region. Obviously, that includes South Korea, which is why I'm here to get to know all of you. And so today's session, and I really want to really use this opportunity for you to think about your MBA decision. It is, in our case, and why it matters specifically, it's not just an education decision. It is something much more than that, and I'll explain a little bit more how it can transform your life from a professional perspective and even just overall life perspective. So there is much longer trajectory in terms of what it could impact and the type of impact it can have for your life. So think about really, ultimately why you're doing MBA and also what you want to get out from the MBA, right? And therefore the location matters because you're not just studying, you are going to be living there, you're going to be working there, and so that really matters in terms of your research, and of course then that is one of the key factors. And I'll explain a little bit here using why exactly and how we actually as from our Rotman MBA is really differentiates ourselves from other programs. Okay, so in today's session I use a lot of the term Rotman MBA. And you see in your brochure, it says Rotman. So the name of the business school is Rotman School of Management. And so within the Rotman School of Management, it is a business school, and there's only one business school within the university. So that is part of University of Toronto. When you bear your name as an MBA of a university, that is the MBA of University of Toronto, because the school name, the actual business school's name is named after the donor of the Rotman family, and that's why we call ourselves Rotman MBA, okay? But it is really part of University of Toronto in case some people are wondering. So kind of back into what I was talking about earlier, what was one of the key factors that differentiates our program from others is location. I know that you may not have been in Toronto, and I'll explain a little bit why it matters, because that's where you'll be studying, you're living, and working. And so you better kind of understand how we are situated from a business school perspective in Toronto so that it actually makes a very positive impact to our students. So first of all, in case you have not been to Toronto, Toronto is the largest business center for North America, for Canada. Very much the same, just like Seoul is the kind of financial hub and business center for South Korea. Okay, so we are kind of operates in a similar way. So we are the largest business center in Canada, the second largest financial center in North America, only after New York. We are actually, from a financial standpoint, and the business activities and commercial activities are larger than all the other US cities as well, just after New York. We are the third largest technology supercenter in North America. So if you're wondering, okay, what kind of industry, so you can see the scale that we are really up there for finance, business, tech, and all of that. And almost 40% of Canadian headquarters are situated in one city alone, which is Toronto in Canada. So again, that's why it kind of goes back to, from a commercial activities and people's lives and all the fun and social and everything kind of concentrated in Seoul for South Korea, we are kind of like that, which is concentrated in Toronto for Canada, all right? But there is a difference between South Korea and, South Korea and Canada, especially between Seoul and Toronto. That difference is that we're much more multicultural. Much, much more multicultural. So we are actually oftentimes being named as the most multicultural city in the world. Even people are surprised, ahead of New York and London in many ways. Why? because those locations tend to have a lot of tourists. We don't actually have a lot of tourists in Toronto. So Toronto, people, is not always on the top 10 to visit from a tourist standpoint. So why we still have the diversity of different cultures and all of that is because people love the Toronto, the kind of the vibe, and it's a city built by immigration. Okay, we have a lot of Koreans, Canadians, I'm Chinese, there's many other cultures that are blended in, and that's why it feels like home even when you're there. You will not feel like an outsider. You feel like home if you're in the subway, walking around, you see many other people look like you, but you also see many other people who look very different. And that multiculturalism is also another level where you can learn just not by your classmates, but even like, you know, beyond when you're living there, that you can call a place home and feel comfortable there. In fact, right on our campus in the business school, just 1 block from it, and I always go there as well, is actually a Korean supermarket. So if you were to actually just even get some Korean groceries, it's just right there. It's run by Koreans. It's like, you know, 1 block away from our business school. So you can see that, you know, of course, you know, it is still a Western city. So you have, you know, all the other things that are Westernized, that are Western. But, you know, there are a lot of other things because we do have a strong population of Korean Canadians in Toronto. Okay? So moving on, this is a map of our downtown Toronto, and specifically at the kind of like bottom this section, like all of these are part of University of Toronto downtown campus. You can see this is actually the Rodman building. There are actually 2 buildings that where the business school is situated. All right, so you don't really have to go to many other buildings. You just basically all in there. Of course you are, because as part of University of Toronto student, if you join us, you are able to use all the facilities as well, including 3 different gyms. All 3 are about 5 to 10 minutes walk from Rodman. Some of the other locations within this whole downtown core, you can see this downtown campus is that right here. I mean, it's not on the map here, but you know where my dot is right now, that's actually some of those, there's 1 out here, 1 out here, on campus housing. Okay, so they're also within the vicinity, just everything within 5 to 15 minutes walk, you can get to everything. The Korean supermarket I was talking about, just like, you know, right here, honestly. So you can see it's actually also extremely close to all of these. What are they? They are actually our business financial district in downtown Toronto. 10-15 minutes walk, you know, to all the other great employers that you can meet. So that is important because you are in a very, you can see, very peaceful, you know, really nice campus environment, but yet it is still part of downtown. It is very convenient. In fact, we are actually very close to the major subway actually intersection. So we're just right there. The subway is just around the corner. And then yet, you know, outside of the campus, you know, outside of this, you can then right there, you can actually be 10-15 minutes away to everything else, especially meeting our employers, meeting many of our companies and alumni that you can actually meet for coffee chats. So within that, there's, you know, finance, consulting firms, many different technology companies, and of course also people don't think about it is actually our healthcare segment. In Canada, it's concentrated in Toronto with pharma companies, university, hospitals, and also startups. So I'll talk to that in a second. In fact, this one is actually a brand new building that are actually in construction right now. Is over 100 million of Canadian dollars, not one, 100 Canadian dollars of donation, one of the biggest donation University of Toronto received. So as an example, if you're part of U of T, I call U of T being University of Toronto, we are the one that is our research hub, attracts many different donations, attract many different corporate partners to even think about, you know, building something. This is actually a building right on downtown campus. It is going to be focusing on medical, AI, biotech, and so, you know, of course, really always in the forefront of things. So just to show you a scale that we are the strongest research university in Canada and even globally that actually attracts a lot of funding across different things. And I mentioned about technology, and I mentioned about why Toronto plays a key role. Is actually Toronto has been named as the Tech North. The Tech North is focusing on a lot on innovation, AI, machine learning, fintech, quantum computing, a lot of different things. So that also, of course, blends into UHM, which is the healthcare sector, as well as Mars Discovery District. That is actually a focus. Is actually not part of University of Toronto. It's actually funded by all 3 levels of government in Canada, and focus on helping over 1,400 plus different tech startups. So from there, how Rotman plays a role is because it's very close to Rotman, the business school. So we also partner with them to incorporate that in our curriculum, so that we have our students joining what we call the Creative Destruction Lab, which is a course I'll explain a little bit later, and as be able to part of the scene as well. And so you can see that just one example on how we're actually able to incorporate real life businesses into our MBA program. So earlier, I was talking about that, a lot of those tall buildings very close to the campus, and around that area we call the Bay Street. Some people call, the Wall Street of Toronto, but it's much more than finance. In fact, it's very close, about 15 minutes walk, and you will see a lot of different companies. We work with over 600 different companies and employers for recruitment. I'm not able to show all the different brands, all hundreds of them here, but just to give you some idea of the different industries that we work with, okay? Of course, a lot of them are brands that you are familiar with, whether it's the banking sector, all 5 Canadian banks, the top 5 Canadian banks are all headquartered in Toronto. Of course, you will see, those banks like Bank of Montreal, TD Bank, Royal Bank of Canada, consulting firms, Big Four, and the MBBs also all recruit at Rotman. And of course, also technology companies and the kind of insurance company that have a lot of investment-related jobs, and of course, I also mentioned earlier, a lot of startups and healthcare, and even you will see on the, not shown on this slide here, but there is actually, we work with like the P&G, we work with the Unilever, Walmart, a lot of consumer markets as well. Specifically, if you're thinking about why Rotman, and give you an example is that McKinsey is right here, but we actually work with all 3 MBBs. The MBBs has already done their work. They're not going to be bothering to go to all the business school because they only wanted to hire the best talent from a few top leading business school. So in Canada, the MBB only hire from 2 to 3, all of Canada. They're all only in Ontario in the province. They're not, none of those business schools are in Vancouver, Montreal, just so you know, okay? So they don't even bother going to Vancouver or Montreal for any of those business schools for hiring. That's MBB's approach. So within Ontario, among the 2 or 3, of course, Rotman, we are one of them. And we are the only one, actually, is a 2-year program. The other 1 or 2 are 1-year program, and they do not have an internship. So we are the only one business school that MBB have already selected as the go-to business school, where they can then hire for internship and then be able to also convert them to full-time job positions. We're the only one that does that directly with MBBs. I'm not saying that you have to join MBBs or and it's obviously very competitive to even join them. But what I want to use that approach is to illustrate that a top-tier recruiters and companies have already, kind of fine-tuned their recruitment strategy and then focus a lot on our Rotman MBA grads as their place to recruit. And given how, as we all know, how difficult and how challenging it is to get hired by the MBBs, and they have already selected us among hundreds of business schools around Canada, and we are also the only Canadian business school that participate in pre-MBA programs specifically invited by some of the MBBs like Bain, BCG. We always do them even pre-MBA. They will invite about maybe some of the M7 schools in the US plus Rotman MBA to do pre-MBA recruitment and getting to know our students. Again, another example again, not that you have to be concentrating consulting, and that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that the top tier companies have done their work and know that we are the business school to go to. So if you are thinking about the location where I'm going to, potentially study and live and work, well, then you want to pick a place that there's going to be job opportunities, where the employers are going to be focusing on hiring, and of course also have the vibe and the cultural scene that will suit you from your social, from your living standpoint, right? And so that is important. All right, and so I just wanted to illustrate some of those examples for you to better understand how we work with our employers, and I'll come back to that, and I'll have a Q&A at the end for any questions as well. So from here, I wanted to introduce two alumni. So they're, the first one I want to introduce and how they also transformed their life. First is Haley Koo, she graduated just a few months ago in 2023. And by the way, why I don't actually have any alumni here with me today is because none of them are working in Seoul, actually. They're all working in Canada, that's why. So if you are thinking about using the MBA to be successfully working in Canada, well, then our MBA is exactly able to do that and transform your career to a different country and be able to stay there, which is the reason why when I was working with Leaders MBA, they said, oh, I should bring an alumni with me. Well, none of them are working in South Korea. They're all working in Toronto, in Canada right now. Therefore, I don't have one. But I do have a video to show later on from one of the alumni. But anyway, so Haley graduated a few months ago from our program. Before MBA, she was actually in a startup kind of like media and entertainment area. That's her focus, and she was with Sandbox Network. So she's in media, communications, very different from what she's doing now, actually. And from there, she joined Rodman MBA. From the MBA, she also, continued on with various, I would say, student club involvement as a senior leader within the student club. So she joined Business Design Club and also Entertainment and Media Association as the president. So that also gave her additional experience as, from practicing and developing those leadership skills through the MBA at Rodman. She then interned at Bell Media, and so she kind of, just let me see if I can transition my life into Canada and work in one of our top tier media and communication company, Bell Media, in that, and continue on her same function, but in Toronto. Then from there, she realized, I have more opportunities than that, and she actually now, post-MBA, is working as SAP in the technology company in the marketing and communication area. Kind of go outside of media and actually now into tech. And during her MBA, she also has worked with different startups and really meet a lot of people to be able to help her to network and therefore land this job into a different sector, into tech. So she says, the inclusive and supportive environment at Rodman has nurtured my personal growth and empowered me to unlock my full potential, find lifelong friendships, and open doors to new possibilities that are not otherwise available if she didn't do the MBA at Rodman at the University of Toronto. So I believe that new possibilities are also available to you. All right, and so let me check out our next alumni, who now actually graduated a few more years and now looking back to see where he is. So he actually also from Seoul, he was working in Seoul in Samsung before he started his MBA at Rodman. So he was assistant manager in the kind of finance-related area at Samsung. From Samsung, and then he joined Rodman, moved to Toronto with his wife. Okay, and so he was, with his wife, but he's the only person, not his wife, actually doing his MBA, because his wife already had the MBA, actually. So then during the MBA journey, he had his internship as a summer associate in finance for Thomson Reuters. So now switched field and industry to financial services. And from there, now he actually joined to be part of, so he is now a treasury manager, specifically for ALM. ALM stands for Asset Liability Management. So he's in treasury for TD Bank, one of the largest bank in North America. And before he now became treasury manager, when he first graduated, which is because he graduated in 2019, so it's been a few years. The first 2 years was part of the leadership rotational program as part of the TD Bank, okay? And after 2 years, then he would automatically become in a managerial role, which is now where he is as a treasury manager. So he says, as a student, I was allowed to make mistakes, be able to learn from them, right? And so I could learn from those. I was able to overcome challenges with the support of the Rotman Career Services, my classmates, and the alumni. So I'll tell you a little bit more how our career services can help you as well to achieve the same, be able to transition your career either in a different function, a different industry, and or of course a different country in Canada. So, for that, let me then now focus on our programming, the structure of it, the length, and so you can better understand how it may fit for you, for your plans. So first of all, as part of University of Toronto, as you might obviously heard of this, our university name, it is consistently ranked #1 in Canada, top 20 or 25 in the world, depends on whatever ranking, we're always in the top 20, 25 in the world. Pretty much the only university in Canada that's on that top tier list globally. Very long history, over 195 years old now. I am also an alumni from University of Toronto. I actually had my undergrad from Rotman, and I also get my master from Rotman myself. Not Rotman, sorry, University of Toronto. I did a master in education outside of the business school. But so I also obtained 2 degrees from University of Toronto. I'm very familiar with that. And, but, I can see that, you are hoping to get an MBA and you want to have a good name, a global name attached to it, a global reputation, and that's when University of Toronto can give you that extra global reputation. So that as you develop your career in Canada, perhaps if you are open up to other opportunities outside of Canada, or maybe come back to Korea or go to other countries, you want to have a global reputation that's attached to your MBA, and University of Toronto is able to do that. We're also consistently ranked as the #1 by Financial Times for MBA in Canada. And so when you are at Rotman MBA, you will be connected with the faculty members. They are top ranked because we are ranked as part of the top 20 in faculty research globally among all business schools. And of course, when you're high caliber classmates, you also meet the senior executives, mentors, thought leaders, and even founders of startups and recruiters, and so we will be bringing those events to you. Instead of you trying to hunt for them, where to find them, we will be able to facilitate and host events that you will meet them. In classrooms, we'll oftentimes bring on speakers and also different professors from different backgrounds and companies, and of course then from the internship you will actually get mentors. And of course your classmates, so there's a lot of opportunities. So as I mentioned, we are, as a business school, globally top 20 for faculty research. Even Dilip Salman, who's on this slide here, he himself is also got an MBA, he is a PhD from Chicago, and he actually head up our research center called Behavioral Science and Economics. So that's something that's very unique, and then that we examine human behavior from an economics and business decision standpoint. So oftentimes we are leading the conversations, leading the research, leading the kind of the groundbreaking topics of what the latest trend is for the world from our business school and from the work that we do. The next one is Sarah Capron, another one that I can feature. In her case, she has her PhD from MIT, but she is actually previously a consultant in McKinsey in New York. Brings on international experience from a consulting firm and also mirror with her academic background. So she heads up our Agenda and Economy Research Center, and by the way, we have about 9 research centers in Rotman MBA, so a lot of different business research we do, and you will be able to get involved in some of those projects, or be able to learn from our toply ranked faculty as well. Even speaker series, we always host kind of weekly, many different public speaking events. as a Raman MBA, you will be able to join these events free of charge. And they could be virtual, they could be in person. And as part of the University of Toronto MBA, you can get the advantage to see and actually attend events from top speakers that even I would say many other M7 US schools don't. The reason is that, well, unless you're with Harvard, maybe then Harvard always get the top speakers. But otherwise, if you're in Canada, we are the top, and so oftentimes we are the only one that actually a lot of speakers work with. Okay, give you an example. We do have, oftentimes the C levels. We have CEO from Google Canada as our speakers before. We have Bill Gates, as our speakers before. And a lot of times, Bill Gates not gonna have time. So I remember last time when Bill Gates was doing the talk, global talk. I mean, of course, they have different stops. They only go to he only goes to 1 or 2 stops in the U.S. in the business school, so only 1 or 2 business schools in the U.S. that can really get that level of speakers. In Canada, only a 1 stop, and Raman's the only one. All right. So just to give you another idea, why you're able to take advantage of and benefit a lot from Raman is that because all those opportunities are exclusive to Raman at the level that otherwise you will have to be at Harvard to be able to even attend some of those events. All right, just to give you an idea and an example on some of those great events that you can attend for free as a Raman student. So now let me focus on what the structure looks like. We are considered as a 2-year MBA, but not 2 years that long. It's really only 16 months programming plus 4 months internship. So the first year is 8 months only. So 8 months in the first year are compulsory courses. Compulsory courses are like business foundational courses, and in the brochure that you actually in front of you, in the very back, there will be the detailed course names of those compulsory courses. All right, if you're interested, what are those compulsory courses in the first 8 months? And there will be some elective courses that start as well. Then in year 2, that is actually the whole year 2, all right? So year 2, there's 8 months of elective courses that you can choose from, over 100 different ones. In fact, we have many different specializations that you can also kind of drill down into focusing and to have specialization in. We call them emphasis. You can do 2 of them at least, but you don't have to pick a specialization if you don't like to, but you can. All of those specialization and emphasis are also located in the detailed, kind of like, I think it's the middle part of your last page of your brochure, and you will see that there are data analytics, there are investment banking, there are healthcare, the real estate, there's a lot of finance-related things, global management, innovation, and tech, so there's always something for you. And then in the second year, which is that 12 months, you really only study for 2 terms of 8 months, and then 8 months in year 1, 8 months in year 2. Because in year 2, there's 4 months of internship. And how that works is that there will be 3 terms. So each of those terms is 4 months in second year. So you have 4, 4, 4, of course that's 12. 1 term you pick to do your work term. So 1 term is your internship. The other 2 terms are elective courses. So how you pick or when, I mean, obviously depending on your preference, but also depends on the type of companies. Some industries are a little bit more prevalent in the summer or the fall. So most prevalent by many of our MBA students, most popular are summer and fall. And then if you do 1 term of internship, the other 2 terms are purely just elective courses that you can choose, all right? And so you can also use those elective courses as a way to go abroad. We have many different international study opportunities. So for example, there's global practicums that is about 2 weeks away, not too long, about 2 weeks away that you can actually, and where we go depends on the project. So we will be organizing some kind of like company visit while you're abroad, in visiting, and also doing a project relating to that theme. So there are many different things that you will be scheduling for those 2 weeks, including some company visits and understanding how to do business in that location. understanding the business practices about those kind of companies or the business norms, and also of course some social and cultural events with your classmates. So as an example, we went to a business design theme in New York or Singapore is typical, and so we just came back from Singapore a couple months ago with our class. So we also have economic development as another theme that was actually done in Barcelona in Spain. So again, something that depends on where you will be choosing and the type of work that will be working with those companies, and that could change the theme, the subject, and of course also location that will go along with that. Another popular one, a global consulting project, that will be something that you will go abroad to do a kind of consulting project with a particular company that we partner with. So we typically partner with many different corporate partners or nonprofit organizations. It could be a microfinancing project in Southeast Asia, or it could be something in that a hospital-related things for healthcare initiatives in Africa, or it could be in some other emerging markets. And so that could be again change from year to year, based on the type of projects that there are live projects that we work with the organizations, so that could also change. But we always will have these available. Of course, there's also some other ones that's not listed is doing business internationally, and we also have another one called Global Manager Initiatives. So many other kind of like cool, interesting, going away things for a couple of weeks, but not too long. If you are thinking about, hey, you know what, I want to get a credit, not just from one course, and for 2-3 weeks, I want to be away for a bit longer and do an exchange in another business school, well, then we have 31 business schools around the world for you to choose from. Of course, you only can go to one for that semester, because remember, I was saying that there are 3 terms. One of the term, if you do the entire exchange at another business school, then you will be, the entire term will be in that business school and do all the elective courses of that business school. Okay, so like example, say what if you do, summer term is your internship, you'll be working, then the fall you could be going into an exchange, say one of the business school globally, and then you come back in Toronto to do your other elective courses in Toronto. But those things could change from, like depends on when you work, when you go on exchange, and different business school may also have different timing for the exchange. So they all can be something that we will help you to arrange when you start at Rodman. So in terms of business school, we have pretty much in all continents, I would say, as far as from Toronto, like Australia, that area, or closer will be, closer to Asia area, we have a lot as well, not like, I don't mean Korea, I mean like, we're actually in Korea too, but then of course for you will be, thinking about even other locations in Asia are also possible, like, China, Hong Kong, Taiwan, or closer to Europe, like that if you like to visit Europe is a very big list of partner schools we have in Europe, all right? And so a lot of them like from, Italy or in the UK, Switzerland, and many of those are many different options. And of course also within North America, the Americas, so South America, and within North America in the US will be one in the East Coast, one in West Coast. West Coast we have University of California, East Coast we have NYU. All right, and so for you to choose from. So what other things will you be able to tag on in addition to your curriculum? So of course we have many different clubs. 35 different student clubs that you will be able to, choose some to join. Some are, a lot of them we host over 250 different events in any given year by all the student clubs across industry or cultural or social clubs, all right? And so industry industry and functional will be like an asset management or finance club or a technology club, marketing club, and a lot of those kind of like, really focusing on an industry or a specific function, or some social clubs as well, like the wine club, the sports club, or the there's like maybe the ski, or there are other activities, or the music one, and so there are other ones that are also for recreational purposes, and there's of course also social ones, being that there's a Asian one that is for our cultural aspect. Okay, so these are the clubs where when you join in first year, you can participate in the events, and then in second year, you can take a leadership role there. Why this matters? Because we do a lot of things through these clubs, and you will actually be able to network with companies for job opportunities. Okay, so as an example, we do a lot of, in the first year for our students, a lot of case competition. They're pretty much all of them, and most of them are sponsored by our corporate partners. So a finance case comms, for example, will be sponsored by our bank, and then you'll be able to meet the recruiters and executives from the company who are actually the judging panel of the case competition. So through that, even though the event is for the case business case, but the actual event also has a dual purpose for kind of networking and for the company to see and get to know you warm before you even apply for the job. So these things are very important to kind of network with others in the industry of your choice. Some other specialization and unique aspect of is business design. We're the only one in Canada that offers that, and it actually offers opportunities to learn how to bring human-centric approach of problem solving into many different areas like AI, sustainability, service design, social innovation, strategy, and really think about developing a solution to a real-life business problem, but using a human-centric and kind of like a user approach to it. So very unique, a lot of different courses we offer through business design, so as part of the design thinking initiative that we have. Creative Destruction Lab is related to tech startups that I mentioned earlier. So it's founded a little over 10 years ago, and what it is actually a kind of mentorship and education hub that connects real startups in the infancy stage that they are looking to get mentorship from successful entrepreneurs. So we have successful entrepreneurs that we're able to bring on and mentor these startups. So from that standpoint, then we help them to raise funds, help them to write their business plans, and so far we have helped them collectively 6,000 different founders with 2,300 startups raise and increase the equity value by 28 billion Canadian already in the last 10 years. It has many different streams: AI, climate change, blockchain, quantum, risk. So a lot of different areas of application of startup. If you are interested in learning more about startups and wanted to develop your career in tech and innovation, that is something for you there. So I'm going to skip this slide because just so you know that for those who are interested, we do have people who are through that program be able to switch from, so she's an alumni, Maggie, originally from Taiwan, and be able to switch from a kind of financial services where she was working before to actually working in a tech company. So she was in a machine learning and now in a fintech company. That's mainly because of the CDL that I mentioned before, completely switch her industry and function. Other great opportunities to learn at Rodman is not just the technical skills, but also soft skills that we really, really are good at, helping our students to build your interpersonal skills and communication skills. Through year one, we have Self-Development Lab, which is a series of workshops. These are optional. You're not graded for your involvement because we want you to have a safe space to learn and develop and be a better speaker, be a better communicator. Some of those workshops themes would be, say, presentations. Some are creating, dialogues with others. And because when you start working or you want to live in Canada, you are going to experience very different cultures. So how do you then be able to adapt and be able to really learn and be more internationally, culturally competent in terms of how you communicate with your classmates and eventually with your colleagues and your clients? You do need to build up that communication skills in a multicultural environment, and that's what we're able to help you with that. Particularly important and essential, I would say helpful for non-native English speaker. All right, so because we can also help you from that standpoint. Then moving on to the second year, we have something called Leadership Development Lab, which is also amazing in developing even more of your leadership skill set. And we have a leadership retreat as part of that to really help you develop those skills in another level. So on top of that, you also will be able to mingle and network with your classmates. So typically we have about 275, maybe 295 students, kind of around there. You are not going to be in a lecture hall learning every single day with 300 people. No. It is a large business school, being Rotman, because you need to be in a large business school that you can access more employers, because employers want to go to large business school to recruit typically. So you get benefit of that. And yet small class environment, because within the first year, you'll be grouped in one of the 4 sections, and each section only has about 70 students or so that you really are in a smaller environment, such as in these classrooms. Then, like but actually we don't put our classrooms in this format. They're actually in a stadium format, so that you always will be able to have discussions, have that dialogue and debates, and also make you to be a better presenter. Win our stage in each of our classrooms is actually the teleprompter. There will be, your laptop if you're presenting. Basically, it mimics a small stage like if you were doing presentations in a real corporate environment. You can practice in that environment with the kind of like our top tier kind of facilities, so that when you actually go back into, go back into the workforce, right, in the job market, and you'll be presenting and all of that, you already have practiced many times at Rotman in that environment. Okay, and of course, when you are in your class, you get to meet all the other almost 300 people in your class, and then you also meet the upper class, because they will be through the club events. When you become the upper class, you also get to meet the people who are incoming as well. So 3 classes of people you get to meet. And what is important about all of those things I kind of mentioned about networking and everything? Well, as you network, you want to be able to develop, choose a location to network and develop your network there, so you can eventually, hopefully, work there. Well, when you work there, then you will need the 3-year Canadian work permit that you'll be eligible as an international graduate. So that is something that is offered to our program graduates. Not all MBAs actually have this, by the way. Okay, a 1-year MBA in Canada does not. A 2-year MBA, just like our Rotman MBA, has met certain criteria that Immigration Canada requires. So they will be, this is eligible for all of you. Pretty much is a guaranteed kind of, in a sense, because it does not require any company sponsorship. You don't even need to show that you have a job offer in order to get this. Okay? But then if you're like, okay, you know what, I'm going to get this, well, can I really make use of the work visa then for 3 years? Well, of course, because you look at our employment rates, both for full-time employment as well as for internship placement, between 96 to 97%, pretty much very high, and that applies to across the board. Our international students count is only about 65% or so, but yet our employment rate is always in the 90s, so in the high 90s. That means that whether you're international or domestic are still able to get good jobs through our career center and the company events that we put together. And so that's why if you follow through the guidelines and a lot of the events, a lot of the coaching and the process that we have to design for you, chances are you'll be successful, just like the ones that I mentioned about those alumni. And without any other company sponsorship and all of that, I mean, at the end of the day, if you go to the United States or any other Western or English-speaking country, you're not going to get that. If you do have another spouse or significant other come with you, your spouse or significant other are able to also obtain and come with you. In their case, you'll be a 2-year study permit. They will get a 2-year work permit. Again, we're the only Western countries that pretty much offer your spouse to also work while you study. And then you both are eligible for the 3-year work permit. So you pretty much guarantee 5 years. If you're asking, wondering, okay, after 3 years work permit, okay, I get it, I study for 2 years study permit, 3-year work permit, what happens after? During the 3-year work permit time, you can apply for Canadian permanent residency, and usually will be enough time for you to obtain your permanent residency. And when that happens, you do not need to even need a work permit, because you can already live there and work there however long you want, as you continue to renew that. All right, and actually that's how our Korean graduates continue to do. You're not giving up your Korean passport. You don't need to, because it's not a Canadian citizenship. It's actually a permanent residence to give you the right to live there and to work there, just like a Canadian citizen can. The only difference is that Canadian citizen can vote and permanent resident cannot. So the only thing you don't do is you cannot go vote, and that's about it. But you are also, as a permanent resident, when you start working, you are also eligible for all the health benefits as well, such as going to hospital, all of that, because we have public health care. All right, and so you are also eligible for those. So that's why, pretty much you're able to have that option. Kind of linking to earlier why is that, you have, there's much more than education decision. It's also about your professional life, how you're able to transform not just your professional life, but your life is for these reasons. All right? So just very quick, some of that information is in your brochure as well. I'm not going to go through the details, but we do have a lot of, some of the employment results here. And the career services are very one-on-one approach. A lot of that are very high touch, and we have personal kind of career coaching for you. One student, basically we have one student, each one of our students dedicated a career coach to help you with your needs. Resumes, helping with the interviews, a lot of the industry panels, alumni panels, and a lot of things that we'll be able to do, and of course partner with many companies that are doing events and information sessions. We also will post the job postings for both internship. In the first year, you will see those internship job postings on our Rodman site. In the second year, you will see full-time job postings on our job site. That for you, exclusively using our University of Toronto ID, will be able to log in and be able to see and apply from there. We also offer a lot of different scholarships, so that is not by application. We don't need you to apply. As long as you apply to us, we are automatically considering all MBA applicants for eligible scholarship. We have over 6 million Canadian to give out, and so the stronger your profile is, then of course stronger is able to attract. All right, and these are just some upcoming deadlines. The next deadline will be in October, and then the last round for international students. Please do apply by round 3 in March. That's the last one. But make sure that we just passed it. Sorry, January is the next one coming up, and but if you want potentially stronger scholarship, I would definitely say apply by round 2 and don't wait until round 3. All right, because scholarship the funding will get kind of like less and less as we admit more students day by day. All right, and we are also on a rolling admission, so anytime you have you're ready, then you can also apply. Okay, and so now I will just play one video here, which is from Jay Jung. Great. So that's it. Thank you very much for attending. And we're right on the docket, but I will have a few minutes for time for any questions if you have any. Oh, by the way, one last thing I forgot. So actually, Daesun Choi is another Korean student we have currently in our allotment. He is in the first year. He specifically have said that he wants to offer himself for anyone who wants to connect with him. That is his email address. He said that he will be more than happy if any one of you wanted to learn more, what is it like. So you know what? He is right there, and he said that he is perfectly open and really very much want to welcome more Korean students like himself. And so please do contact him for a chat, okay? And so yeah, so take a picture so that you can have his email right here. He was, before Robin, before going to Toronto, he works at Lotte in the HR leadership development team. So again, you know, different people with different backgrounds that you'll be able to meet from other Koreans that you wouldn't naturally otherwise be able to meet as well. So, but he is an amazing student, currently just started a few months now, and but that's the information right there, okay? And I do want to mention one more. That is our open house that's coming up. It is in person in Toronto. We'll be live stream some sessions. So if you go into using that QR code to register, it will be, unfortunately, in a time zone that is a little bit difficult for Korean time, because by then will be 14-hour difference, all right? That's not a problem. We will very likely be able to share some of those recordings. So even if you're getting so late in this time, because if we're doing it during the day in Toronto time, and then it'll be like really late for the time zone here, but we will be able to know that you registered with the event and be able to connect with you afterwards, especially share some of the recordings and the event details, okay? So in that event, there will be some of our sample classes and also a student panel as well for them to share experience. So that's the coming up, and that's it, okay? So any questions? Yes?
I have 2 questions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Common to go to top tier consulting companies after graduation.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first question. And the second is that how are the interviews conducted?
Yeah. Okay, so for consulting firms, then of course, then for some people who previously have consulting experience, a little bit easier, they understand that, but that's not the prerequisite. So it's not like a precondition that you have to have. We've seen the MBBs or the Big Four. Big Four, of course, they even higher, they actually have a wider number of, so of course it's easier to join them, and they have more different consulting practice, different types, so they are also very prominent in our recruitment programs, and they are open to hire people of different backgrounds. So you don't necessarily need to have a consulting background previously, but you need to be able to explain how your skill set currently are transferable, right? As an example, people in healthcare before or now, they may be able to go into healthcare advisory. If people are actually in banking, they might be able to go into financial advisory and doing some M&A or post-deal advisory consulting. So you're able to use your experience or industry knowledge now, and then be able to kind of apply in a consulting environment. And so that's how you're able to do that. How we actually help our students, they typically do a lot of case interviews. So we will have case prep on site to help you with that. We also hire external consultants for specifically case prep sessions. And on top of that, there is a consulting club. So among the 35 different student clubs I mentioned, actually more 40 student clubs now, I think. One of the clubs is consulting. It is one of the largest clubs. Many people are interested in that. And so our second-year students who have already landed those consulting jobs are then now put themselves as the upper-year MBA mentors for the consulting because they just landed the jobs. Obviously, they understand that, and they will be able to help with mock interviews. All right, so they are also putting themselves to help the first year. Just remember that the network that we all hear is not just with external, it's also internal from your classmates, and especially if you're first year, you get to know the second year who are extremely helpful, especially in the consulting or any industry or any kind of job opportunity is also important. Okay? Any other question? Yes?
Thank you for your session today. My name is Henry, and I'm curious about the difference between creative destruction lab and business design lab. And so the creative destruction lab is more focused on the tech.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, so it's different that the Creative Destruction Lab is specifically a tech, kind of a startup type of, let me just go to that slide so that you can see that a little bit more. Let me see here. So it's very different from the other one where, let me just go to that one slide, you will see. So it's specifically focusing more on technology startups, okay? So that is, so specifically that is actually it's a course. So technically it's not designed as a course, it's actually an education program that actually connects new startups to like the founders and new startups to successful entrepreneurs to get mentorship. And so then through that, they will learn how to like raise funds, how to pitch. We also give them access to venture capitalists, or a lot of that to really learn and be able to scale up the business. Through that process, if you are doing the CDL, the Creative Destruction Lab course as your elective course, then you actually will pair up each one of our MBA students with a startup. So the course is actually learning by doing. So you actually work hand-on, shoulder to shoulders with the founders and the startups, the actual work in presenting the business case or writing business case or pitching the business plan to the venture capitalists, and there will be a lot of those sessions that are CDL sessions that you are involved in. So you're actually working along with these startups as part of the course that you get a credit out of it, but you also build your network in that kind of tech startups environment. Okay, so that's how our students be able to network in the tech startup space and even get a lot of mentorship even for future if you're not doing your business now, but you may want to set up your own business in the future. That's also very helpful because you're already getting some of those advice early on, all right? So that's something that for people who are interested in tech, innovation, or joining startups after MBA, or having a mindset of going into doing your business eventually, and that will be all helpful. That is different from business design, all right? And business design is, no, I think it's this. So business design is purely not tech specifically related for any kind of industry, so it's not linked to a particular industry. It is more of a problem-solving technique that some toolkit you will learn, and we actually specifically wanted to have a outside-of-the-box thinking for you to develop solutions. So what we call is a whiteboard solution. So on a whiteboard, we have a lot of different ideas to generate, and so it's not about what the client should do. It's what could be done, so that it's more innovative in that solution development for a business problem. So that is not just necessary, so it's not a tech thing per se, but it could apply the sustainability, a design about a particular service process to different industries, okay? So there are specific courses that are also for business design, all right? Okay? Mm-hmm. Yes?
My second question was for the introduction to the MBA program. On-campus or off-campus or virtual,
will be virtual because I mentioned about the deadlines that we have, and so generally between now and say if you start 2024 intake, then you will have to apply, between now and the last round is early March, okay? During that time, usually after you applied, then I will be, because I'm in charge of the East Asia region, so I'll be looking at the applications and then invite candidates for interview. Unless I'm back in Seoul, but between now and start, I'm likely not coming back to South Korea again, so I'll be doing Zoom, like the virtual interview over Zoom. All right, so usually we will be, but then whether it's in person or over Zoom, the format is the same, being that we will have some questions for you, and it kind of resembles a job interview kind of questions. All right?
Case of global practicum. So if the project is shorter than a semester, then can I take the less courses on the same semester?
Oh, you mean like if the project usually wouldn't be. Well, technically, the project is not like because in each semester you will have a few courses. Okay, it's not just one course, right? So that could be just one of the course. So it may not be like even these is you actually get a course out of it, right? Each of these things. So the practicums, when I say it's 2-3 weeks, it's an intensive, condensed course. That's why. So it's not typically, just so you know, our courses are usually only about 7 weeks long. It's not one semester being 3 months like an undergrad. All right, just so you kind of know. So 7 weeks long, and the last week it may be some exams or project due or whatever. So it's really 6 weeks, in reality. So it can be going pretty fast paced. So this is one of the courses, and this will be considered an intensive condensed course. In that case, then within 2-3 weeks, then you get, within the 2 weeks, you already get your credit. After that, that is not the only intensive course. We do have some other intensive, we call them intensive, being that they are kind of truncated from several weeks into 2 weeks. We do have some of those for other subjects as well that do not require traveling, okay? So typically, we'll be able to do that, and then we'll lessen your workload in the semester if you do the intensives, okay? So if you have other questions beyond today, you can always contact me. And so I will be able to, give you, I'll leave my business card here. You probably already have my contact, but I'll leave my business card with you. If you are interested to have a one-on-one pre-application meeting with me, I will be able to conduct that virtually, and that way I will be able to look at your resume, and you will need to send me your resume as part of that request. Once I take a look at your resume, I will be able to know your candidate, like your profile, and provide more kind of useful feedback relating to your specific profile in terms of questions relating to like the program, or any specific questions relating to application, or if you think that there are some other stronger element of your profile or weaker element of your profile, I can also provide advice how you balance things out, and so that you can strengthen your application when you apply. All right, and so those, or if you wanted to know about some of the nuances in terms of the application process and some of those detailed questions, such as interview or other things, I can also, would be more than happy to address those questions in our one-on-one meeting. All right? So with that, thank you. And if you do, so feel free to leave. I know we're over time now, but feel free if you need to finish off the day and other things. But I will be staying behind if you have any other questions. Okay? Thank you.